So I sold 20% of my business back in '02 for $100,000.
And after this tragic event, those who lost their lives, the SEAL team that went hunted down Osama bin Laden.
Instead of spending a ton of money on advertising and marketing, I donate a lot. Well, it's just sad that a lot of the American manufacturing has gone overseas,
And what you did is you took something that you like and enjoy doing, and you created a business out of it from your other skills that you learned.
I think it's getting harder too nowadays for the kids, and that gave me the seed money to buy more equipment and hire guys. I don't think there's as many opportunities now as there was, where I was starting out.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Relatively Uncharted. We have a special guest on today. We connected through one of our previous guests, so that's very unique and pretty awesome. Just kind of testament to our amazing guests. But, without further ado, our guest today, his name is Brad Smith. Welcome, Brad.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Nice to meet Nick and Ryan, and enjoy your podcast.
Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate having you on. Appreciate taking the time. So we got connected to you through Gabler, one of our previous guests, and it sounds like you guys have a long-standing friendship. You guys, good buddies growing up, got into a lot of trouble together. Not real trouble, but you guys had your fun, right?
We've had a lot of good times over the last 30 years. I actually met him before I started my cutlery manufacturing business. We worked together at a sunglass manufacturing company, and so just became really good buddies. Even though he lives in Idaho and I live in Washington, we still get together 3, 4, 5 times a year.
Yeah, there you go. Keep it going.
Yeah. That's
amazing. So you guys met through work way back, and prior to Silver Stag Knives that you founded, and you have it still going today.
Yeah, well, the sunglass manufacturing company that I worked for, it was, we built it pretty big, and we took it public, and it was financially mismanaged, and the company was basically liquidated. I stayed on for a while to help the company, and I was in my late 20s. I was like, what the heck am I going to do with my life? And so I always, loved knives, and my grandpa taught me how to make knives when I was a kid, and so it was a hobby, and I started with this old neighbor. I just started manufacturing knives in my garage and doing gun shows and arts and crafts shows, and stores wanted to carry them, and so I trademarked Silver Stag. I developed some packaging and catalogs, and started doing the SHOT Show and some industry shows, and over the years, it became a kind of a niche national brand. So, people really want American made. And back in the late 90s, when I started the company, there's some bigger cutlery manufacturing companies getting their products out of China. And so no one was really doing stag, shed deer and elk antler, traditional hunting and fishing knives and utility knives. So, I started out in my garage, and then it just kind of slowly, as the company slowly grew, I bought more equipment and hired more people. We're still not huge, got 14 employees, but we're pretty well respected in the industry. Never really advertised. It's all been word of mouth. And, here's kind of a sample of some of the stuff we built right here. This is a limited edition we just did for our website.
Can you raise that? Can you raise it up a little higher? We kind of kept just the bottom of. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Just get the blade there, and then.
We do different types of designs. We even do chef knives. It's really started to take off. But we do everything in my shop. Our own engineering. We manufacture all the blades, do all the assembly. So even our folders. I'm not an engineer, but I hired this kid to help me draw up the parts on CAD. And then we just kind of put them together and tested them and prototypes. And so, it's just, again, a niche brand, and I'll walk you through the shop later.
Yeah. That'd be pretty neat to see.
Yeah. And, we sell on our website, factory direct, and then we also sell to a ton of sporting goods stores. We actually made all Cabela's antler knives for about 14 years. And when Bass Pro bought them out, it was kind of a different scenario, and they tried to beat us up for discounts. And so we discontinued that relationship, but we still work with a lot of the bigger players in the industry. We build a lot of knives for Ruger firearms. King Ranch is one of our key customers, and Shiloh Sharps. And we work with a lot of the industry nonprofit organizations like the NRA and Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. And they use a lot of our knives at their banquets for fundraising.
So yeah, that's amazing. Obviously, to get to the point where you're at now, and you mentioned you started in the 90s, and you're still running strong. This is, that's 30 years later at this point, so it's incredible. And to do that, you were the boots on the ground up front early on, and now you got to the point where you have 14 employees. You've hired people that are the experts at what they do, knowing full well that, you understand the knives, the design and everything, and then you had an engineer, create a design in AutoCAD. So when did you hire the engineer to do the CAD designs?
I was a local kid in his engineering school at Western Washington University. He's referred to me by my office manager. He started working part-time for my company while I was, finishing his engineering degree. And he actually stayed for a couple of years after he received his degree. And he would just help us on the CAD and some of the design work. And then he would also do assembly. And so, even this pivot pin right here, if you can see this, we were buying aftermarket pivot pins, and they were cheap. They're probably made in China. So we actually even designed this pivot pin. And I should patent it because you can adjust it with a little Allen wrench, and it'll adjust the tension in the blade. And so after we designed it on CAD, we sent it to a company in the Midwest to have them manufacture it. So everything that we do ourselves. We don't look at anybody or anything or copy anybody. So they're exclusive designs and extremely functional and fairly reasonably priced. So that's kind of our niche, I love predictable knives. Like this is a shed elk tine. You see right here. And that's kind of our niche. The big guys, they don't know how to get the shed antler. You just can't go out and buy it on the market. It's kind of a subculture, where there's like 5 or 6 key suppliers in the country, and then they have their network of hunter-gatherers who go out and buy them from deer farms or, Cub Scouts, collect them. So, but we go through thousands of pounds of shed deer and elk antler. And, we'll drill it out and epoxy these blades in, and we have a lifetime warranty on them. And we don't use stainless steel. We use a high-carbon tool steel. It's called D2, which is much better, stronger, that has a high chromium content, so it's not prevalent to rust, but our knives hold an edge forever. So,
yeah,
it's all the word of mouth, And, I've found, too, over the years, instead of spending a ton of money on advertising and marketing, I donate a lot to various charitable organizations. I donate to industry organizations, a lot of military programs, and one thing that was pretty cool is, this is about 8 or 9 years ago, I got a call from an admiral's assistant, and they said, Brad, the SEALs who killed Osama bin Laden, they want one of your knives. And I thought that would be just a total honor to build 21 knives for these warriors. And so I read an article that the port of New York was giving away World Trade Center steel. So I called him and said, I got a special project for some warriors, and they blew me off. They thought I was a nutcase. So I called a cop friend of mine who works in Manhattan. I've met him over the years at trade shows. And he called the union guys who cleaned up the World Trade Center steel and told them what I was doing, and they sent me a block of steel. And it wasn't cutlery steel, so we cut out medallions, and we inserted it into the knives, and it said, I'll show you one. This honors, all the fallen and the warriors that got our revenge, basically. I didn't have security clearance, so laser engraved their names on them, but a lot of them came up and thanked me at the SHOT Show, which was pretty cool. Yeah. So just stuff like that, I donate to the Super Bowl party over in Afghanistan, and they send me a flag off their base.
Yeah.
It's just, again, what comes around goes around. As you donate knives, people respect you and tell people about you. So I've never really advertised or marketed. It's just primarily I'll give away 200-300 knives, maybe $30,000-$40,000 in knives a year. People order.
That's awesome.
That's incredible, though. Gabler had mentioned the 9/11 story, and so I was excited that you brought that up because it wasn't on the show notes, but I was going to ask about it at some point, so I'm glad you brought that up. That's like, I was actually telling my dad about that last night. I was telling him who we were having on the podcast, and I was telling him kind of what you do, and just kind of an incredible testament to give back to those guys in any way you can, and the fact that it was the 9/11 steel is just adds the cherry on top.
Yeah. Of course, we get requests every day for no-charge knives, but I do so much more than most, I can't do it all, but I've got a good big promo budget. So
yeah,
every week, at least 2 or 3 are going out no charge for various causes, kids with cancer, vet programs, again, military, industry organizations.
Yeah.
So
it's incredible. And to Ryan's point too, just the cherry on top, the fact that, after this tragic event, all those who, sacrificed, those who lost their lives, victims, and then, the SEAL team that went, and hunted down Osama bin Laden, got this, this special knife made from an American-made company. Is like just so much more to that. It's like completely American-made, and then in remembrance of everything from all of the tragedy, you create this memorabilia that's just again, it's just that cherry on the top, which is an incredible story.
Yeah, well, appreciate that, and again, what comes around goes around, and, I'll do anything for the military. I never served. I went to college, my dad served, and a lot of my uncles and relatives, I always kind of wish if I turned the clock back, I'd probably, served for at least 4 to 6 years. I probably wouldn't have made the special forces, but I would have tried.
That's a testament right there. Is willing to try.
Yeah, those guys are badass.
Yeah. But yeah, again, that's incredible. You kind of touched on it too. You went to college, so maybe could you tell us a little bit about? So obviously, you started your career. You worked a few jobs prior to that, and that's where you met Gabler. But let's go to before that. You went to school. Where'd you go to school?
Yeah, I grew up in Kirkland, Washington, and Kirkland's a suburb of Seattle. You got Lake Washington. It's on the east side of the lake. And back in the 70s, Seattle was kind of a small, town. It wasn't really well known. And the suburbs were very rural. I grew up, hunting, fishing, riding my motorcycle. Graduated in 81. And after that, my high school girlfriend talked me into going down to Arizona State. And so I packed up everything and moved down there. And Arizona State's a pretty big university. And for some reason, my best friends that I met down there, all from New York or New Jersey for some strange reason. I don't know why, but, I've got friends now all over the country. And after I graduated, I moved back to Seattle, and my uncle got me a job at the CBS TV station in Seattle, CBS affiliate, Cairo TV. It was a suit and tie gig and in the city, and I just didn't like it, I learned a lot. I was there for about 4 years, got an opportunity to go work for a sunglass manufacturing company and travel and see the world. And so I took that opportunity, and that's where I met Gabler. Became good buddies, but unfortunately the company was mismanaged and it went under. And that's when I started wondering what I was going to do with my life. And then I started manufacturing knives in my garage. But I always had a fascination with knives. My dad would take me hunting. I remember he'd keep a shoebox full of knives above the refrigerator. I was 6'7", he'd say, "Don't touch my knives," but when no one was around, I'd push the stool up, I'd climb up over, and I'd just look at it, Like he gave me my first knife at about 6 years old, and then my first gun at 7. And I grew up in the San Juan Islands, these islands off the coast of Washington in the summer. It was just my brother and I, and all we did was, shoot our BB guns and pellet guns and rabbits and fish. And I always had a knife. I was just fascinated with knives. And then my grandpa talked him into showing me how to make them. He was kind of a handyman. And so we ground down some old files in his garage back in, that would have been 77, 78. And then I made a few here and there for friends, but when I started, they were more like prison shanks. They're functional, but they weren't very good looking. And then, I got in my garage and I really fine-tuned my skills, fine-tuned my grinding, and started again with files. And my old redneck neighbor had a barn full of antler, and so we cut it up, put it together, and people loved them. So that's kind of the inception of the business. And, when I got to a certain point, when Cabela's wanted to carry me in some of the bigger accounts, I was like, I just built my house. And I was like, can I mortgage it? So I sold 20% of my business back in '02 for $100,000. And that gave me the seed money to buy more equipment and hire guys. And fortunately, the company's always been profitable every single year since. I've taken that $100,000 and probably parlayed it into about $50 million in sales. Wow. Which is, a lot of companies that stock inventory, because we have to stock a lot of raw supplies, a lot of antler, raw steel, belts and equipment. But I've just I could probably be a lot bigger than I am right now if I would have stepped up and maybe spent $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 on advertising. But I've just kind of built this thing on my pace, always being profitable and always paying cash for what I need. All my equipment, fiber lasers and grinding machines, it's all been purchased through free cash flow. So, in the last 5 or 6 years, it's just gone crazy. When I started out, I was 95% wholesale. So, I'd make a 20% margin, 24% margin on wholesale. But then about 8 or 9 years ago, we developed an e-commerce website, and that slowly but surely really exploded. We're doing 7 digits through our e-commerce website. And the profit margins are, huge. If I take $1 million worth of inventory and I wholesale it, I make a couple $100,000. Mm-hmm. But if I take that same $1 million in inventory and I retail it, I make over $1 million. So from 200,000 to over $1 million, that's the difference between cutting out the middleman, wholesale and retail. And then we do some pretty cool things that nobody's doing. Like, father and son, they go shoot their first deer. They could throw the antlers in the garage, or they could send it to us. And then what we'll do is we will make them a knife using their own cherished antler, laser engrave their name on it, and they got a family heirloom. So, no one in the world's doing that. Yeah, it's a cool program.
I remember when we first spoke, talking to you about that, and it's like, so you're the only ones that can do that, right? Others can do it, but you do it, and that's kind of a little niche piece of the market that you found. So they take their antlers, so it's kind of like, and it's paying it forward too. Like you take the antlers from a kill that someone just got, and then they get a knife, and then next season they go out hunting, and then they use that new knife to gut or whatever the usage for that knife would be, and it's just kind of incredible. It's like you can kind of like that 9/11 memorabilia. It's just you have it and you can reuse
exactly.
it.
Yeah, and they pass it on. They keep it forever. Pass it on. They may put it up and just as a display piece. So, yeah, it's kind of a cool program. You see, we have a niche. You've got the big commercial cutlery production companies. Then you have the small little custom guys who make 5 or 6 or 10 in their garage. Okay, we're the only kind of semi-custom line out there where we offer it to dealers, sporting goods stores, and wholesale. So that's kind of our niche. Custom, they don't use the machinery. I mean, to be considered semi-custom, we use a fiber laser. We use a fiber laser to profile our blades. Okay, this is just a straight profile. And so we design everything on CAD, transfer the files to our fiber laser, and then after we have the profiles, we'll run them through a surface grinder to take off this rough mill scale. Then we will do the grind on it. And this is all done by hand, freehand, right here. See this grind right here. So we're considered semi-custom, and it's just a nice niche. And again, the big guys, they don't know how to get the antler.
Yeah.
Well, and then we'll use some exotic woods. This is really cool. This is spalted birch out of Alaska. And what we'll do is stabilize it. We'll put it in a pressure cooker that pushes resin into the wood. And actually, the FDA requires all wood chef knives be stabilized so bacteria doesn't get caught in the pores. And so we'll do some really, like this one key account in Alaska, he'll send us this Alaskan spalted birch, or he'll send us shed caribou, and we'll build all his knives out of the Alaskan material. And he sells, this one small store, he sells 12 to 20 silver stags a day, because he's right where the cruise ships dock in Juneau. And every day he's got thousands of tourists, coming in. They want to bring a knife home, something from Alaska for their dad or their brothers or their kids. So he's been a really good customer for about, 18, 19 years. It's called Alaska Knife Works, downtown Juneau, right across from where the cruise ships dock. So that's kind of, so we can do kind of unique programs for customers. We work with Big Ben Saddlery, the oldest saddle shop in the country down in Texas, and he sent us some designs. So we'll do, and he'll sell 200 or 300 units a year. So he'll sketch out a design on a napkin, send it to us, and then we'll build him a prototype. And if he likes it, that's his exclusive product. And then corporate logos is huge too. For example, King Ranch, we brand all theirs. You've probably seen the King Ranch board trucks.
Yep.
Have you seen it? Yeah. Well, they're the oldest, most respected ranch in the country, but they got a saddle shop and a catalog and their internet division. So we do all their private label and co-branded knives. Yeah. It's right here. Our fiber laser can cut their logo right out of the blade.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of cool. And for the Texas Rangers, the oldest, most respected law enforcement agency, we did that for them.
The star.
Yeah. So we can do some kind of cool stuff, and usually when we work with the NRA, we received NRA Knife of the Year multiple times. We'll do something exclusive for them. So they can, and then laser engraved limited edition and the year and the number, and then they can get a little higher dollar volume when they're doing the banquets.
Yeah.
So, raises money for Second Amendment protection, training, education.
Yeah.
So that's really about it. I mean, I'm blessed. It's been a cool ride. I'm getting tired. I've been breathing a lot of bad dust for a lot of years. And so I'm not working quite as much, instead of 70 hours, I'm down to maybe 40, a week.
That's no.
And my employees got to take more of the reins, run the bit.
I wanted to say, Brad, the niche you found, like the kind of where you are, you're not too big, not too small, like you're able to produce the knives at a high enough quality to fit these big production, these big companies that do mass production, and then you're able to.
Well, we'd always carry over quite a bit of business on a monthly basis. Our priority is factory direct retail. To when someone prepays on our website for an order, we want to get that shipped as soon as possible. And when COVID hit in 2020, 2021 is 2020. everybody was laid off or at home watching YouTube videos. And we've got this guy who promotes our knives with Dear Me for Dinner. Long story short, I met him at the SHOT Show. He had a little tiny TV show on the Outdoor Retail Channel. And he came up to me and he said, "Hey, Brad, I'm starting a YouTube show." This was back in 2013. And I said, "That's great. Here's a knife, good luck." All right. So he goes out and he's a gator guide and a fishing guide out of Florida. He goes out and he skins a gator. All right. Using the knife, a whole entire gator. Amazing video. I think right now it has 28 million views, that one. And so when that happened in 13, 14, I noticed there was more traffic to our website and we were getting a lot more comments, emails, and so forth. So I invited Robert up when his show was just getting going. And I said, "Hey, Robert, let's make this worth your while. I'll build you a small line of knives. We'll exclusively sell them on our website. And I'll set you up as a dealer and I'll give you the difference between wholesale and retail, minus drop ship fees, because I don't drop ship for anybody else." Well, now the guy's got 3.5 million subscribers to his show, and he just uses Silver Stag, and some of the videos, like I said, have 15, 20 billion. So people actually could see how our product functions out there. And so that's grown our factory direct retail business. And so I paid him $800,000 in commissions over the last seven years, just the difference between wholesale and retail. But customers see the quality and they go on to our website and we have so much, a much bigger selection, folding knives and chef knives. They show their friends. So, I owe Robert a lot of credit for helping me build my factory direct retail business. And so getting back to your question, back in 2020, we were receiving, every 15 or 20 minutes, we were receiving a $200 order. But when you're doing factory direct, it's more work. The profit margins are definitely worth it, but you've got more invoices, more invoicing, more laser engraving. Everybody wants their dad's name or brother's name or their initials on the knife, individual packing and shipping. And so, I had to bring on more administration staff just to process thousands and thousands of retail orders. And my wholesale dealers, they would wait. Some of my key accounts have supported me for over 20 years. They would be priority. But some of the other ones, I would just say, hey, we'll build your order as soon as we can. It's not like they had another place to get another Silver Stag or anything similar. So they would wait. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I could probably be a lot bigger than I am if I would have, I'm the guy to take it from the garage to this level, but I'm not the guy to take it to 10 to 20 million. And I don't want to be that guy, Is the opportunity there? Absolutely. If I wanted to expand the chef knives and do another website, it's a different market, so different sales reps, different distribution, different trade shows. But if I went to the Chicago Cutlery and Home Show and I expanded my line of chef knives, that could be a $10 million line in itself, But again, I do well. Do I want to work harder right now at this point in my career? No. But that's why one day when I do go into full retirement mode, is I'm going to have to, I'll find a good partner who wants to, or a company that would like to invest in my company. And that would be the perfect situation where I could use their resources, because when you get to this level, the infrastructure's fine. But if you want to take it to the next level, you need a total new infrastructure. New accounting software, human resource department. It's just a huge can of worms, man. And, again, I love my life and I don't need the headaches. But again, the opportunity is there. And I'm sure one day I'll partner with a company who will want to get it to that level. And I'll tell them how to do it. But right now I'm just going to continue to do what I'm doing because I'm making pretty good money and people love our products. And I love my employees and we still have that niche. But yeah, I'm just not the guy to take it to the $20 million level. You guys probably understand. There's a lot of entrepreneurs who will start in there and take it to this level, but they never really take it to that level. They usually bring in the power support to do that.
Yeah, it takes all sorts of resources. You got money, and you got to have manpower, labor, everything. Like you said, the different departments, HR, everything. But you mentioned it too. Like you went from 70 hours a week down to 40 hours a week, and so obviously your quality of life has, I imagine, improved from not working as many hours. But you were able to do that. I mean, what you did is you took a hobby. So I guess going back is you studied, would you study at Arizona State?
I was in marketing, graduated in business. Yep.
Okay. All right. So you're educated in business, you at the highest level. And then you had a career, you said 4 years you were in the city, doing a, suit and tie job, and obviously take the experience from that. And then at that point you're like, all right, what are my skills? What have I learned? What do I like? And what you did is you took something that you like and enjoy doing, and you created a business out of it from your other skills that you learned in the education side and in the business world. So from your, obviously you've become an expert at what you do from your hobby, which is hunting. Ultimately was the beginning, and you had a fascination with knives. And then you got good at making it. You went from shivs to what you have today. But what you learned in the business world, you saw that to start growing and selling and being recognized, you went to trade shows, art shows, NRA shows. So is that something that you learned from your experience in the real world that you needed to do?
Absolutely. But it was primarily from the sunglass manufacturing job. I was promoted to the kind of national sales manager. So I had to call on Walmart and Federated Department Stores, and I called on the military exchange system worldwide, AFES, all the stores on the bases, lens crafters, all these monster retailers. And you have to understand what they're looking for in regards to margins and return on investment and training and merchandising. So I learned a lot when I worked for Gargoyles Inc. And Gargoyles was Arnold, remember the Terminator? He wore those. Those were gargoyles. Dale Earnhardt, those were gargoyles. But what we did is we took this one style, which has patented torque curve, and we leveraged the brand, and we did some licensing agreements with Timberland and Adidas, and we bought Hobie Polarized Sunglass Company and Stussy and Anarchy. So we have this huge portfolio of sunglasses. And when we took the company public, but, the pipeline was full. It wasn't selling through quick enough. And so we weren't hitting our numbers. We told Wall Street, and then the stock just plunged, and then we were delisted off NASDAQ. And the company was basically liquidated. So Then I went from suit and a tie to traveling around the world as a, national sales manager for the sunglass. And now I'm in my garage, grinding down files, wondering what the heck I'm going to do with my life. So it's amazing how things just change. If someone would have asked me when I was 25 if I would ever own my own cutlery manufacturing business, I would have laughed at them. So it's just wild how life takes you on these little journeys, and you meet so many great people on the way, and they help you, and you give back. And so it's been a wonderful career. I just turned 60. So again, my goal is to kind of slow down at 60, and that's what I'm doing. I don't really have to work right now, but I've got employees, customers, and vendors, and suppliers that rely on my business, and I'm trying to train, and my employees, my production guys, they're production guys. They don't have that overall, the business knowledge to run the whole operation. My office manager is amazing, great bookkeeper and everything else. So, it would be nice to find somebody who has, manufacturing experience, to maybe come in and take the company over, build it to that next level. So, I've tried to bring on a few general managers that haven't worked out for one reason or another. They rub people the wrong way, or they weren't who they said they were on their resume. And so, maybe they all had certain good qualities, but I haven't found that overall rounded GM to come in. And so,
yeah. Well, listen, your business obviously speaks for itself, and you've made it to what it is today. But if we can, so we'll post on on our page, and if someone sees it with that experience, hopefully we can connect them to you, and
that'd be great.
Be that next step, right? You may see if it worked out. But
you said my daughters don't want my company, man. If I had some sons, I'd turn it over to them.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that was the other thing too. You said you're slowing down, and at some point you want to step out fully as much as you can, and you want to partner with someone. Obviously, you want the Silver Stag brand name to continue, right? That's
my goal. I would love Silver Stag to grow to its full potential, which it has so much potential right now. So the foundation's in place. Company's debt free, producing a very good profit. But like I said, partnering with another company or bringing on a really experienced guy who's experienced taking a company my size to that next level, that would probably be the next step as I get closer to retirement.
Yeah. Nice. So it's been an incredible run, obviously. And so where you took it to, you started going to the trade shows, you started getting recognition, you started doing wholesale deals. What were some other things that were key to that early stage of, the very important stage of growth? Was there anything else that you did that you picked up from your experience and knowledge that would be beneficial for someone that's interested in starting their own kniving, cutlery, or any sort of trade business?
Yeah, I would say what really helped me is Silver Stag is handcrafted. All right. So we can go into non-traditional markets, for example, gift stores and trading posts and Western stores. And so like Mount Rushmore carries Silver Stag Knives, and the Grand Canyon and state parks. So, we stay busy all year because in the fall, you got the hunting season, the sporting goods stores are on fire. I mean, they'll order all year. But then in the spring, you get all the gift stores and the tourist areas. So, I didn't expect that to happen. And once gift stores started to carry Silver Stag, I did a couple Denver gift show, the Atlanta gift show, and picked up some really good accounts that have been with me for many, many years. I'm down. I only do the SHOT Show now, and the SHOT Show really built my business. That's, that was a key show where I got into some pretty large chains. Gander Mountain, they went out of business. Forces Warehouse, they went out of business, but are back. Of course, Cabela's. Yeah, these are pretty big stores. Dick's just requested a fillet knife, but again, man, they have 900 stores, and they want a certain price point, so my margins would be pretty low, but the volume would be significant. Just 3 or 4 fillets per store on their opening order would be over 3,000 units. So I'm kind of working and talking with the buyer, and we might just scale it back a little bit, but that would take away too from my factory direct retail business, which I don't want to do. I don't want to sacrifice high margins for low margins. So again, the opportunity is there, but there is some hand labor. We can't crank out. We'll never be a buck or a Benchmade or a Gerber because they're not production knives. There's a lot of hand labor that goes into it, and we're never going to sacrifice quantity for quality. It's not going to happen. I'm very, very, very stickler on quality control. Yeah. When someone's spending $150 or $200 on a knife, it has to be perfect, razor sharp. Those scratches or dings on the blade, it's just So yeah, I'd rather focus on quality than quantity. And that's what I've done.
Yeah. And you mentioned too the margins, greater margin versus less margin, wholesale versus retail, and all these things. So if I were to ask, if you could explain to like a 5-year-old, essentially what you have done is you've determined that in this amount of time, 1 week's whatever your manufacturing cycle is, 1 week to manufacture from beginning to end, you can produce X amount of blades, and then you put it into the next stage of fixing it to the hand designed antler, from the deer hunt. How does it break down? I mean, you have so much volume you can do in a certain period of time, and if you take away 500 of those for Dick's Sporting Goods, you're taking away 500 from your greater margin buyers elsewhere. So in a nutshell, how would you break that down?
Well, I graduated in business. Okay, so I'm not an operations genius, but through trial and error, I've 4 departments in my factory. So we've got our blade cutting and our grinding and our assembly and our shaping and polishing and sharpening and engraving and packing and shipping. Every day we'll make 100 units of one particular style. Okay, so when you do large same style production runs, you gain efficiencies. So we get requests every day for custom one-on-one knives, but that doesn't work. We have to be efficient. We have to. And when you're going all over the place and manufacturing 5 or 6 styles per day, it doesn't work. So you just, it's lean manufacturing, which I've read a lot about, taught myself. So that's one of the reasons we've been successful. And so many businesses fail because it's really a formula, First off, you have to have a cool product that consumers want. And then you have to be able to sell it to a dealer at a specific cost and have a profit margin there. And then the dealer has to double it and put it out, and then the consumer has to buy it. So if one of those steps is off, you're out of business. And another thing that's cool is no one can knock me off, really. The Chinese, they can't knock me off. They can't get the sheds. So I've got a very protected market, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
So, if I was going to tell someone how to start a business, it's really finding a really cool product that consumers want and then going backwards to see if you could manufacture it and have a profit margin, get it to a retailer, see if they can double it or mark it up 40% and see if it sells. If something doesn't work along the way, it's you're out of business, unless you just want to focus. And more manufacturers are going factory direct. They're cutting out the middleman, So you go to most websites, Nike and Benchmade, they sell direct to the consumers. Now, the retailers would bitch and moan when it started happening a few years ago, but they don't really have an option. It's manufacturer's choice. And so what I tell our retailers, I said, every Silver Stag's a little bit different. And when a customer sees one in your store that they like, it feels good in their hand, if they don't buy it, they're never going to get that knife again. And I also tell my retailers that for me to keep my wholesale low and the product selling through for you, I have to retail. I have to get a higher margin, so I can keep your prices stable.
Yeah. That's interesting. If they don't buy that knife then and there, they will never get that same knife ever again.
If this is right.
That's awesome.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, I'll give it a try. But if you want, I can walk you through my shop. Just give you a quick 2-minute tour. It's not pretty, but I'll show you what we do and how we do it out there.
Yeah, we would love to see that. Obviously, you must be in your office right here, right? So where do we?
I'm in my office.
Yeah.
So we have an office and a factory outlet store here in Blaine, Washington. So I'm going to turn this around here to walk you out. Okay.
Is that right there?
Here's where my office manager runs it.
All right.
You see those right there? Tell if I need to. Yep, those are cutouts right there out of sheets of steel. Here's our factory outlet store right here. So these are a lot of limited edition production runs and miscellaneous. We don't really advertise, but every day people come in and we offer 20% discount in our factory. This is some of my kind of key knives. That one you're looking at there with the holes, that's actually fossilized walrus jawbone. It's ivory. And those are teeth sockets. So I built a knife out of there. A lot of the SEALs and Rangers have given me different medallions that I collect. Here's some inlays we do. National Wild Turkey Federation Knife of the Year, Ruger, Turkey Knife of the Year. We send some of our knives to an artist and she hand scrimshaws them. I don't know if you can see that right there. And so some of our chef knives are over here.
There you go.
And then a lot of through donating, people send certificates of appreciation. That's the flag off the Afghan base right there.
Oh,
they sent me when I donated some knives to their Super Bowl party. Now I'm going to take you out here in the shop.
But yeah, so we, for the audience, we wanted to get a tour of the facility there. Unfortunately, just based on, the internet sometimes, however those waves work and that 5G, we were unable to take a look at it, but it's a pretty neat facility. We saw it offline before. Hopefully we can get something for you. We'll clip it into our final edit later. But so let me just pick back up where we were. We were talking about, where you would suggest someone who wanted to start a business, right? They started to do their own thing. That was, business 101 in a nutshell is, reverse engineer, find a product and see if you can sell it for margin. So appreciate that wisdom there.
Yeah. I think it's getting harder too nowadays for the kids. I don't think there's as many opportunities now as there was, when I was starting out, for competing on an international, level, and everything's pretty high tech. I manufacture man's oldest tool, I'm low tech, man. With AI coming on board and everything else, I think it's going to be a little tougher. What do you guys think?
I would think so.
Yeah, I think opportunities are different, but yeah, I agree. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of what's the word? Like products that have already been created that are going to be hard to replicate and make their own. But there's other ways, I guess, for people to create their own business. But yeah, to make a product itself to sell, yeah, it's definitely. I feel like it's a lot tougher just because people like you have paved their way and made a name for themselves, and other companies just like that.
Yeah, and it is definitely maybe the times are different. You were fortunate to be in a time where you could kind of insert yourself into this niche market, and you've kind of created this foothold, this stronghold that it'd be very tough for someone who just starting out. So if I were fascinated with knives and just started, where you started in my garage, and they're looking more like butter knives rather than sharp cutting knives. And then it would take time for it to grow. And what they say about us millennials is we're impatient. We don't want to do work hard or anything, but I say all that's BS. But listen, if I had to put in legwork for 30 years, I'd probably give up sooner. But I think just technology, larger companies can come in, cut out the middleman, and then just create a stock product that so many people are just like, yeah, I'm satisfied with that. They don't have that unique custom design that you have, though, and that's sort of that niche market that you're able to hold strong on.
Well, it's just sad that a lot of American manufacturing has gone overseas. It's starting to come back a little bit, but man, this country is founded on hardcore American manufacturing, and to see a lot of it leave in the 90s, and certain products, I think consumers don't care if their shirts may be made in Asia. But when it comes to specific gear, knives, guns, certain products. It's, our core, target market, they want American. And they're willing to pay a little bit more. And in the long run, you save money because you're getting a higher quality product that's going to last you forever. You might save 30% or something, but that from an Asian-made product, that product's going to be, worn out in 2 or 3 years. So
what I would say that is probably true about millennials, or at least for myself, is like, that's where we're at. It's like I can go on Amazon right now and I can get it delivered in 1 or 2 days, and it's going to be, from, most likely from Asia somewhere, whatever the product is, right? And it's maybe cheaper, quicker, and, I just don't have time to wait for the thing that I want now in this moment. And so, yeah, we are a little bit impatient, but, and it's kind of interesting you brought it up too, is, I don't know if manufacturing's coming back to these areas, but like in the Rust Belt specifically, Ohio, Michigan and Detroit and all that, I started to see some revitalization in those areas. And I think like Cleveland's one of the most like thriving markets, at least just on a local level, which is kind of neat to see.
And every state, is different. This state, when I was growing up, was pretty conservative. But, just a lot of these radicals kind of get into government, and they throw out a lot of different regulations and taxes. In Washington State, we have a manufacturing tax and a high L&I insurance tax. And it's a little harder in Washington, like in New York it is too. But down in Texas, Ryan, that's a great market. And that's why a lot of businesses are moving there.
Definitely, like you said, different everywhere you go. You got to figure out kind of what your market is and then adapt to that.
Yeah. If I could do it over again, I'd probably, I was born and raised here, 3rd generation, but probably be in Idaho. That's where I'd be.
It's just buddy.
Be with Gabler.
It's a better state. Yeah, we're hanging out with Gabler and drinking cold beers and hunting and fishing.
Yeah. So on that, obviously you have a fascination with hunting and fishing, right? Can you tell us, you said you got your first knife at 6, your first gun at 7. What's some hunting that you've done? Is there some unique game that you've hunted? Have you traveled out of the country to hunt, this specific, a specific animal or trophy?
Well, I'm more of an angler, fisherman than I am a hunter. I grew up rabbit hunting and pheasant hunting and duck hunting with my dad. I've done a little deer hunting, but I'm not a big venison guy. So, if I'm not gonna kill anything, I'm not eating. But I grew up salmon fishing, with the orcas right off the coast here in Washington. Had a little 12-foot aluminum boat with a 10-horse on it, and I'd grab my dog and we'd go out fishing every night, for lingcod and rock cod, salmon. And so, these islands are so remote and beautiful. I'd be out fishing on these cliffs and off these cliffs for salmon, and all of a sudden I'd get caught in a pod of killer whales, it's awesome, So I river fish too. There's some good rivers close to my shop here where the salmon are coming in to spawn every fall. And then I just got back from Guatemala with the Deer Meat for Dinner YouTube guy, and we went down there and we caught 6-foot sailfish and tuna, and it's just amazing. So I love fishing, a little bit more than hunting, and I don't hunt as much as I used to. I go bird hunting every year. There's some good duck hunting up here, but that's really about it, and there's never time. I'm so busy in the fall season with business, I can't take 2 weeks off or a week off, But one thing is cool about this industry, I get invited all over the world, to, love your knives. Hey, if you're ever in Australia, come visit me,
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, we saw, Gabler showed us that video of you guys in Guatemala. He sent it over and we got to watch that guy. That was a pretty cool experience.
Gabler's a big ham bone.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. It paid off. Yeah. Paid off Norman Survivor there.
No, he does well, and he lives a stressful life. He's in there, the surgery every day, and life and death situations. So he gets a little PSD once in a while too. So to cut loose with the boys, and tear it up a little bit. But again, it's not like 30 years ago. I mean, it takes a little longer to recover when you hit our age.
For sure.
Yeah, I felt that at 25, Brad.
Yeah, that's right. So,
Brad, did you follow along with him while he was on the TV show Survivor?
Yeah, I watched it many, many years ago. I wasn't a huge fan, but I'd watch it. I'd turn it on and check it out. So I knew the overall concept. But then when he told me he was going to try out, I was like, "Do it, man! I know you could do it." And of course, they passed on him the first go around. And I was like, man, that's a huge loss for CBS, And then luckily they came back around and picked him. So then, and he had non-compete contracts and, all kinds of psychological profiles there. So he couldn't shave it on one of his best friends. He couldn't share with me. I mean, because he's in Fiji filming and he comes back in the spring, I think it was May, and then it doesn't air until the fall.
Right.
And so,
he can't sing.
I tried to get him hammered so he would, spill it. The only thing he would say is never count me out. But he lived up to his agreement. So, anyway, I was proud of him, especially when he donated $1 million to the military. It was awesome.
Yeah. Great guy.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, let's if we can, we'll wrap up into our final segment where we generally ask some questions. Some of them are new, catered specific for the guest, and the other ones are the same ones that we ask every guest. And then maybe we'll try and see if we can get the shop in the on the recording without losing internet there.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, like I said, we come up with some fun questions. Ryan always comes up with a question each episode, unique to the guest, so we'll let him run with that.
Yeah, Brad. So obviously you've handled and dealt with a bunch of knives in your day, and if you had to pick one all time, one knife that you could just pick as your favorite, style, the design, the way it was cut, whatever it might be, give us your favorite knife.
Well, we do a combo pack. Does that count? No. We have a few. Like if I was off the grid and I could only have one knife, I would probably pick our fishing gamer because I can fillet and gut and skin, but it could also be a survival knife. So it's called the fishing game knife. I don't have one right here in my office. And another one is, the ones that I built for the SEALs, was a really cool design. And then the King Ranch knife of the year. This is a great survival knife. This specific style, and a lot of the SEALs, the Special Forces, do order this. So it's tough, when I design a product, everyone has a specific use, and some will cross over into various uses, but fishing game would be it, so.
You asked the question better than I did. If you're stranded on an island, what knife would you pick? The fishing game knife. There we go.
That's right. And you got to have a good pocket knife. Now, we do use wood. This is Coca-Cola. It's the only thing I use outside of America. Every material, everything is all U.S. produced, but this is a hardwood out of South America, and you don't have to stabilize it, and it polishes like glass. But, a good pocket knife is just, I won't leave home without one. This is a lighter lock. We do different types of locks, but you can see right there that just slides right on over. So a good pocket knife is a must, man. And again, these are really well made. This will last you a lifetime.
Every time you reach over to grab a knife, I'm always excited because it's always a new. You're always grabbing a new knife. I'm always excited to see which one you're going to pull out to show us.
Right, and we don't do clips. Like for example, I got my old dirty jeans on. We do this antler tie. You tie this around your belt loop above your carry pocket, and then you just pull on the lanyard that slides out. And you can use it while it's tied to your belt, and you'll never lose it. Yeah. So this is the good process right here instead of a clip. And that's kind of unique to us.
I love it. We're finding you came up with you said maybe you'll patent, but that little pin rod, you came up with that makes it, you can adjust the tension with the Allen wrench. You got obviously the house.
It's the pivot pin right there. Yeah. So you can adjust it for blade tension. If you want it loose, or you can snap it open like that, or you like it a little tighter, you just take a little Allen wrench and adjust it.
Yeah.
And it keeps everything really tight too. Just, there's no play in that at all.
Yeah.
I'll send you guys a knife. How's that, man?
That's a good deal.
Okay.
That'd be fantastic. You don't have to, but man, that sounds awesome.
We sure sent a lot of knives to Texas, not too many to Jersey and New York.
I wouldn't be allowed to. We have no carry laws over here, so. But yeah, it's obviously the creativity of what you have, and like you said, with the little antler piece that ties to your belt, and then it gives you play, like you said, so you don't have to unhook it. The clip is clunky, but it's just it's genius to especially for your niche.
This is our only knife that's unrelated to utility hunting or fishing, and we do a dagger.
Oh wow!
What are you gonna do with a dagger? There's only one. This is protection, survival.
Yeah.
But a lot of I'm Irish, Scottish, and a lot of those guys they're called dirks. They keep these in their socks, and a lot of the bikers like them.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty sick.
And this is Damascus, which is hand forged layered steel there.
So you see the layers and the spirals there.
Yeah. Those are actually folds. So you actually have to build the steel before you can profile the blade from the steel that you build. It's a laminating process, forge welding laminating process.
Okay.
Whereas something like this is just cut out of a sheet of steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is also, you said one knife. This is called the Woods and Water. And it's 5 3/4 inch blade. But that YouTube guy, Deer Meat for Dinner, who's got 3.5 million, he came up and we designed this. It's exclusive for him. And we sell thousands of these. So this is a good crossover knife too.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's about it, guys. Enjoy your podcast, and Gabler spoke highly of you, and it's been a pleasure to be on.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Those are beautiful knives, and we have a few more questions. We ask these of every guest, so we'll do a quick fire round and run it through, and then see if we can check out the shop there.
Okay.
So anyway, if we'll put you on the spot here. If you can think of, what would be your favorite book, either fiction or nonfiction, your favorite song, and your favorite movie?
Well, The Mountain Man. You ever read that book? Oh, gosh, who's that by? Got it right over there. Incredible story about fur traders and trappers, moving west and fighting, the natives and how they survived. And it's just an incredible story. And this was actually a true story, that there was notes taken by these trappers and fur traders. This one guy became a legend, and how he escaped after he was caught by the Apaches and the Blackfoot. So that was an amazing book. One favorite song, gosh, that would probably be the Eagles. I've been traveling down the road trying to loosen my load. I got 7 women on my mind.
All right.
I don't know. I like a lot of different, music, from new. I'm just not a huge opera guy.
Yeah, that's just the one genre you don't dabble in.
And not huge rap. Some of it, my daughters listen to, I could tolerate, but I'm not a big rap guy.
It's tough to pick one song and one movie. And
one movie?
One movie. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, probably Braveheart.
All right.
Solid choice.
Yeah, it's a winner for sure. I guess that's because you're part Scottish.
That's right.
Yeah.
At the end, his head's getting locked off, and he yells, "Freedom!"
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Classic. But you wish it probably would have been a Silver Stag blade, so it would have cut a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, I've had some pretty cool people, like Robin Williams before he passed bought a bunch of my knives, and Johnny Depp bought a bunch from one of my dealers when he was filming out in New Mexico. And we had one knife we designed. It was on Aliens and what was the name of it? Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
And that was featured. Again, product placement that's an industry in itself. You just hope someone's going to use it. Oh, yeah, and Arnold cut a turkey, Arnold Schwarzenegger, with a big Bowie knife and posted it on Instagram. That was a big hit.
Yeah. I think, I think you shared that, or Gabler sent that to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome.
So, but again, we're niche, and right now there's this up and coming MMA kid. He was semi-pro, and he asked me to sponsor him, and I sent him a couple $100. But now he just made the pro circuit, and so it's kind of like when I met that YouTube Robert Arrington Deer Beat for Dinner. I'm hoping that this guy goes all the way, because you always support someone who supported you from the get-go, and so I'm hoping that's going to be the case.
You said he's in the pros now. He's in the top level.
What's that?
You said he's in the top level now.
Yeah, he just made the pros.
So what's his name?
Well, he goes by the Scabbard, but his name's Jake Sullivan. And he's just a young kid, but he's been training and fighting, for years and years, made the semi-pro circuit, and now he's going all the way, I think, He's, so we'll see. Yeah, he just fought in New Jersey.
Oh.
That was his second pro fight.
We'll cheer for him along the way.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah.
Jake Sullivan.
Anything else, guys?
That's it. Really appreciate your time on it, and we'd love to see the shop. Maybe we'll give it a shot. See if actually.
Let me see if I can get out there now. Okay.
One more question for you, for our audience. Where can they find Silver Stag Knives? Do you have a social media, Instagram, website? What do you got?
Yeah, go to silverstag.com. www.silverstag.com. You can Google it. Our site will come up. And if you want to support some of our dealers, Ruger sells them on their site. King Ranch, Shiloh Sharps, and so you'll see them online. Just Google Silver Stag. We always appreciate the factory direct to get better service too. So, And another big thing is laser engraving. It's huge. Everybody wants their initials or name or corporate logo engraved on their knife to give as a gift. And so I would probably say 80% of all of our factory direct retail business wants engraving. It's an extra $12, but it's worth it, no setup fee or anything else. So, it's big. But I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the additional exposure. Again, I'm not a huge company, so anytime you can get a little additional exposure from great guys and a great podcast, it's awesome. So thanks for having me.
We'll share the word for sure.
Absolutely. All right, for the audience, let's take a look at that shop if you.
Okay. It's not pretty out there, because I forgot to have the guys really clean up and I've been understaffed. Tell me if this angle works for you guys pretty well.
I think it's fine right now, yeah.
Yeah, looks
good. Okay. So I'm going to take you out and show you just our fiber laser first.
All right. Says shop's right next to the office right there.
Yeah, there's so much dust in here. So this is our fiber laser machine right there. You guys still with me?
It's a little glitchy, but we see it. Yeah.
Okay. So again, we designed everything on CAD. I'd have to log that up, transfer the files, and you can see how we buy our sheets of high carbon tool steel. And fiber laser is amazing technology. I started out with a water jet and then a CNC plasma to cut and profile my blades. And then I stepped up about 4 years ago. Fiber lasers, this one was about 150,000, but it's quick and it's clean. The edges are very clean, and you saw the details with logos that you can cut in it. This isn't pretty over here, but this is where we grind our blades, right here. So it's all hand done. You guys still with me?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Okay. So we got 2 guys grinding all day. They do it freehand under these beta grinders. This is a surface grinder over here. After we cut our blades, we'll run it through this conveyor belt, and it surface grinds them, takes about 1,000 off. And here's an old CNC plasma that we're kind of rebuilding. Here's an old World War II surface grinder. That's not pretty.
An antique.
Here's all of our sheds, deer and elk antler that comes in. Just got a shipment in. You see how it's different colors? That's based on how long it's been sitting in the sun.
Okay.
Here's a sword I built for myself.
That's cool.
And this is where we epoxy them in, let them sit, and then we'll sand them and shape them.
Okay.
I'll take you back over here. This is where we're just cleaning the blades up, profiling them right here. This is our sharpening station over here. Here's our packing and shipping station. We're getting ready to send out a King Ranch order and then a conservation order. This is South Carolina Waterfowl Association, so they'll use these at the banquets to raise money for habitat restoration. And here's Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation order, King Ranch sheaves. So this is where we pack and we ship over here. Here's some more King Ranch knives we're getting ready to ship. Again, it's a little chaotic in here.
Yeah.
Packing, our packaging, and bear with me here. So after our knives are built, they'll come up here, and these are our laser engraving machines right here. And so you can see on some of our larger production runs, Morton Building, corporate logo, they ordered 1,000 of those as safety incentive awards, and different logo placements, and then all the different knives we manufacture. And we have specific logo sizes for each one of our styles that are programmed into the laser machines.
Yeah.
And these are just got engraved. They're going up to Alaska. This is where we do prototyping in here, where we'll play around with our folders, design a lot of stuff, samples. We'll photograph samples and send to key buyers like that. So we do a lot of photography in here, and just how we start designing these blades to try to make sure they're going to fit perfectly before we adjust the CAD files until they're perfect. So a lot of prototyping.
Yeah.
Different liners that we cut. So that's, I didn't show you the whole shop. We still got how we manufacture our folders in one department, and our chafing department, we get you over here.
From beginning to end there, how you create it, cut and fold and shape and then assemble it.
So these are, in the production stage. Let me see if you can leave right. But right now I'm going to sand this down and shape it so it's nice and... What I'm doing is like sanding down the star that it's all white.
Yeah.
You'll have to be one just to talk. I will use these rubber wheels too. That blade
as he fell on it. No, but so these. And then after he scared those, decided to fall into the bottom, so this. So it's the process, so that yeah, we'll make 100, 200, same styles every day.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a cool process here, which you think it's new this. But a lot of our blades, we jewel them. Jeweling's a process that's you can see it's going right here, it's unbarred.
It's much quickly. What's on the
Oh, nice. Give it a little extent.
What that does is it hides any imperfection in certain steel, and it also puts little indents in the blade that keeps it retained. Now the blade will retain oil for corrosion protection. We do a certain line of high carbon tool steel called 1095, and they're great steel, but it's very susceptible to rust. And so once I oil it now, the blade will, it's very difficult to get it to corrode because the oil gets right into the blade. So just little different processes that we do that nobody else does.
Yeah.
So again, it's not pretty, but we do build a lot of beautiful functional tools. And that's what I call these are tools, man's oldest tool. So I just showed you the process, but that's finished jeweling here. Let me see.
Yeah, we got a good light on it.
So that's about it, guys. I'm going to take you to one other area of the shop.
Yeah.
And this is kind of crazy, but, all the scrap antler, we save and box. I'll show you. And this guy from Canada comes down and picks it up. And he says it to China, and they grind it up and they eat it, and they think it's an aphrodisiac. They think it's going to give them a hard on. And we stored stuff. It doesn't work. Trust me. So this is all going to China scrap antler.
All right.
So, and then over here is where this looks like a meth lab, but it's where we stabilize our wood. And that's where we put it in a pressure cooker, and it pushes a resin into the pores so blood doesn't stay in it and food doesn't, get caught in the pores.
Yeah.
And then over here is just our folder assembly department, where we keep our different parts after we cut them. The different drill presses. And then over here, I've got 3 guys doing folder assembly. So that's about it. There's a couple other areas I'm just not going to show you. It's kind of proprietary.
Yeah.
And just different milling machines. It's not that complicated. And I mean, it's taken years to fine tune it, but it's not too complicated of a process. But details matter. That's what I tell my guys. Details are everything. Spend an extra couple of minutes, because when people are spending hard-earned money on a non-discretionary item, it's got to be perfect.
Right.
Yep.
So that's about it, guys.
Awesome.
All right.
The grand tour.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing the finished edited product, man. Anyway, but again, I appreciate the exposure.
Absolutely.
Me too.
Like you said, the details matter. And the reason why is when you have perfect details, it hides all those imperfections elsewhere of, getting on camera. So you have some fantastic tools, man's first tool, fantastic tools, fantastic stuff to show and share. And so you did a fantastic job. We appreciate you coming on and sharing your stories. So we really...
No problem, Nick, Ryan. Keep up the great work, man. And I'll send you guys each a knife, all right?
We love that. I'll actually be buying some, so we'll be in touch about it.
Okay. Sounds good, man.
All right,
Awesome, brother.
thanks,
Appreciate you.
appreciate that.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, you guys keep up the great work. Take it easy.